Hi, this is Wendy from Knitters Brewing, and I'm going to show you how to do a short row technique called wrap and turn. Short rows are a technique that allows us to change directions in the middle of a row without leaving an unsightly gap in the work. And to begin a short row, what we're going to do is knit up or purl. You do this the same depending on whether you're on a right side or wrong side. So you work up to the point where the pattern tells you to do a wrap and turn. Then it's pretty simple. First, you bring the yarn to the opposite side of the work that it's on. So I'm right side facing, so I'm going to bring it from the back to the front. Then you slip the next stitch purlwise over to the right hand needle. Then you return the working yarn to the side that it was originally on. Then you slip that same stitch back to the left hand needle. All right, let's look at that one more time. I'll undo what I did. All right, ready? We're going to move the working yarn to the opposite side, slip the stitch as if to purl, return the working yarn to the original side, and slip that stitch back to the left hand needle. And what you're doing is creating a little collar around the base of the stitch, as you can see here. And as you look, you can see that I've been working on this for a little bit. I've got a wrap and turn on every other row, every 2 stitches along this particular piece, and it's allowing me to have an angle on my work. And those are what short rows are. Now generally after you work a wrap and turn, you turn. So now you reverse your direction, and then you continue on with what the pattern says to do now that you're on the opposite side of the fabric. Later on in the pattern, we're going to come to a point where we're going to knit all the stitches in this row that has wrapped stitches on it. So as we come to these wrapped stitches, we're going to knit the wrap together with the stitch, and this is what helps to eliminate these gaps that you see everywhere we turned. So the way we're going to do that, when the wrap is on the right, coming from the right side around the stitch, you're going to do it as follows. Slip the wrapped stitch over to the right hand needle. Lift this wrap up and put it over the right hand needle like that. Then put both stitches back onto the left hand needle and knit them together. And that makes the wrap go to the back. And the wrap is tighter than a real stitch, so it helps to pull the work together. So let's do a couple more of those, and because I've got a wrapped stitch every other stitch along here. So this one's not wrapped, so we're just going to knit it normally. Now I've got a wrapped one. So I'm going to slip the stitch, lift the wrap up, move these stitches back over to the left hand needle, and knit them together. Now I've got a regular stitch, so I'm just going to knit it. And now I have a wrapped stitch, oops, sorry. So I'm going to slip that stitch over, pull up that wrap, move the stitch and the wrap to the left hand needle, and knit them together. So you can see what's happening here is that now we've got a nice solid row of stitching with no gaps in it compared to what it was like before we picked up those wraps. And it's a technique that allows us to come up with an angled row. So like if you were doing a dart or just any kind of shaping in a garment, this is a kind of a technique that you would use for that. Let's look at another way that we'll be picking up wraps during this pattern. In this particular case, our wraps are going around stitches from the left side, coming from the left and around. And we're going to be picking them up purlwise because we're making a purl row as we do the pickup. So to do that type, We're going to have our yarn in the front because we're purling, and we're going to pick up the wrap with the right needle and put it over the left needle. And then we're going to reposition this first stitch. It's currently positioned as a stitch is normally positioned. It's got the leading leg to the front. But we're going to change it so that now the leading leg is in the back. And then we're going to purl that stitch together with the one that was wrapping it. And we're going to do that through the back loops. So a lot like when you do a slip-slip purl. So we come in through the back and wrap it in the front and take it back through. And then this next stitch is not wrapped, so we're just going to purl that one normally. And now we've come to another wrapped stitch, you can see here. So again, going to lift that up, put it on the left needle. Then we're going to reposition this first stitch. And then we're going to purl it together with the wrap through the back loops. All right, next one's regular, and so forth. And so what you can see, and this one's a little different because the top of the sock has got a stitch pattern on it, so it's not smooth like the back side that I was previously demonstrating was. But we've got a nice, smooth, picked up edge where we've been knitting in the wraps with no gaps. And then here's the ones we haven't done yet that have the gaps in them. So this is yet another way to pick up wraps. Here's another technique of picking up a wrap that I'm going to show you, and this is another one that you'll encounter in the pattern. This one's like the purl version of the first one that I showed you. So in this case, here's the wrap. It's coming from the right around the stitch, and we're going to be purling it together with the stitch that it wraps. So to do this, we're going to slip the wrapped stitch to the right hand needle, and then we're going to lift that wrap up onto the right hand needle, slip both those loops back over to the left hand needle, and then we're going to purl them together. So we need the yarn in the front, purl them together, and that's it for that way. I want to show you one more. There are, as you could tell, a variety of ways to pick up wraps in this particular pattern, and each one is fully explained in the pattern, but I just wanted to show you some of them so that you could get the gist of it. In this case, we're on the wrong side, and our wrap is right here. It's coming from the right side around, and we're going to purl these together, but it's different in the last one in that this time we want to twist this wrap stitch so that it's tight on the inside because we want it to look like a good knit stitch on the right side when we flip this over. So in this case, what we're going to do is use the needle to pick up the back loop of that wrap, and we're going to put it up over the left hand needle, and then we're just going to purl them together, and that's going to twist that wrap. And let me show you what that looks like. Twist that wrap, and it makes it look like a nice smooth knit stitch without gaps on the right side. So I hope this was useful. I know it's a lot of different ways of picking up wraps, but I think if you use it along with the instructions, you'll be able to do it real well.